Your life doesn't change in a year. It changes in your morning. That's the truth most people never hear. If you win your morning, you take back control of your entire life. But if you start your day the wrong way, waking up late, checking your phone, avoiding what matters, you end up in a loop of stress, distraction, and frustration. That's why this video is different. This is not about motivation that fades by noon. This is about what to do, exactly what to do, every morning to change your life in a real, lasting way. You'll learn the actions, the mindset, and the daily rhythm that top performers use to stay focused, disciplined, and grounded, starting from the first moment they wake up. You don't need to be perfect, you need a system that works. And it starts with one morning, one routine, one choice. Watch this now, because your life will always follow how you begin your day. Make it count. Chapter 1. Stand up right away and tell yourself, get moving. You wake up in the morning, the alarm goes off, and in that exact moment, a decision is waiting. A simple one. Do you stand up right away and take control of your life, or do you stay in bed and hand the day over to weakness? That's where it begins. That very first second, that tiny moment shapes your entire direction. Most people think the day starts when they pour their coffee or open their laptop or walk out the door. That's wrong. Your day starts the second you open your eyes. That's the moment your mind is either ready to work for you or against you. You see, discipline is not some complicated system. It's built from tiny decisions you make over and over. That decision to stand up as soon as your alarm rings is one of those moments. Not standing up means giving yourself permission to start with delay, and once you give yourself permission to delay the morning, you start delaying everything else. The workout gets delayed, the plan gets delayed, the purpose gets lost. Before you know it, the whole day becomes reaction instead of action. When you stay in bed for 5 more minutes, you're not resting. You're teaching your mind that comfort is more important than growth. You're telling yourself that your goals can wait. But what if your life can't wait? What if your progress depends on what you do in that exact minute? That's why standing up right away is more than just getting out of bed. It's a habit that builds character. It's a moment where you prove that you are stronger than your excuses. It doesn't matter how tired you are, how little you slept, or what happened yesterday. What matters is that you show yourself, not the world, but yourself, that you are in charge. People ask me all the time, Jim, what's the secret to turning things around? And I always say, it's not about what you start doing in the afternoon or how you manage your time at night. It starts first thing in the morning. The truth is, your life doesn't get better by luck. It gets better by structure. And the first structure of the day is your choice to get up and move with purpose. When you wake up and immediately move your body, you break the chain of laziness. That physical act sends a signal to your brain. It tells your brain, we are not staying stuck today. We are not hiding from the work. We are here to do something. You begin with momentum, and momentum changes everything. Now, some people think standing up right away is just physical, but it's not. It's mental. It's emotional. It's psychological. It's spiritual. It wakes up your decision-making power. It pushes you into clarity before the world throws distractions at you. Because once you stand up, you're no longer a passive thinker, you're an active builder. And what happens when you do that every day? You build trust with yourself. That's what most people are missing. They don't trust their own word because they break it every morning. If you say the night before that you'll wake up at 6, and you wake up at 6 but don't move, you break your own agreement. That may seem small, but those small lies to yourself pile up. Eventually, your confidence drops. Not because you don't have potential, but because your word doesn't mean anything. Not even to you. Now let's flip that. Let's say you do wake up, and the moment your alarm rings, you sit up, put your feet on the floor, and say to yourself, "Get moving." That is power. That is a person taking control. That is you refusing to let a slow morning become a slow life. And don't just stand up for the sake of movement. Say something to yourself right there. It doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't have to be dramatic, but it has to be real. Tell yourself what kind of person you want to be today. Tell yourself why you got out of bed. Remind yourself of the things you said you wanted. Remind yourself that nobody is going to live your life for you. Say it clearly. Say, "Get moving. This is my day. I'm in charge now." Not because it sounds good, but because it puts your mind in the right place. You're not begging the day to go well. You're deciding to make it go well. You're not waiting for motivation. You're choosing movement. That is a different level of living. And it's not easy. That's the truth. You're going to have days where your body feels heavy. You'll have mornings when your thoughts are cloudy. You'll feel the pull of comfort. That bed will feel soft. The pillow will beg you to stay. But that's the fight. That's the test. That's the moment where your stronger self is being built. You want to know what real motivation is? It's not watching videos. It's not hearing speeches. It's doing what you said you would do when it's hardest to do it. Real motivation is proving to yourself that your discipline works even when your feelings don't. It's not about becoming a perfect person. It's about not letting small weakness win big battles. The first big battle of every day is whether you rise with intention or drag yourself into the day with hesitation. You see, every strong person you admire, every leader, every peak performer, every grounded individual, they didn't start that way. They became that way through structure. They built discipline around their mornings because they knew that the first move sets the tone for the rest. That means standing up right away is not just a habit, it's a signal. It tells your brain, we're not wasting this day. And when you build that up over time, something starts to shift. You stop looking at life like a problem. You start seeing it like a plan. You stop saying, "I hope I have a good day," and start saying, "I'm going to make this day count." Now here's the beauty of it. It only takes a few seconds. You don't need an hour. You don't need perfect motivation. You need one choice. One honest decision in the morning that says, "I don't want to be average anymore." That's all it takes. That's the turning point. And it doesn't matter if you're rich or broke, young or old, tired or rested. Every person has access to that 1 second of power. The second where you say, "Get up, get moving, take back your day." Don't wait until life forces you to change. Choose to change now. Don't wait for pain to become unbearable. Build the strength in advance. And it all starts by standing up. Not slowly, not lazily, but with fire, with a clear mind, with self-respect, because when you wake up and move with purpose, you're not just changing your morning, you're changing your pattern, you're changing your energy, you're changing your entire identity. That's what you want. A new pattern, a new way to live, not one filled with hesitation and delay, but one filled with strong choices, one where you don't talk about change, you become change. And it begins by standing up right away and telling yourself, "Get moving, your future is waiting." Chapter 2. Put your phone down and sit with your thoughts. The first few minutes of your morning decide the direction of your entire day. Most people miss that opportunity because the moment they wake up, they reach for one thing, their phone. That habit alone is costing people more than they realize. Not just time, but clarity, peace, focus, and even self-respect. Before they even take a deep breath, they're already inside someone else's world. Messages, noise, opinions, distractions, no space to think, no room to feel, no connection with themselves. They've already lost the first round of the day. If you want real change in your life, one of the strongest habits you can build is this: put your phone down in the morning and sit with your thoughts. Just that. It sounds simple, but it's powerful, because when you sit quietly with yourself before the world gets access to your attention, you're making a serious decision. You're choosing to check in with your own mind before you check in with anything or anyone else. The world is loud, and most people are never alone with their mind. That's why they stay stuck. They're always looking outward, looking for noise, looking for the next distraction to fill the silence. But growth doesn't happen in noise. Progress doesn't happen when you're glued to a screen all day. If you can't sit quietly with yourself, you'll never understand what's really happening inside you. And if you don't understand yourself, how can you improve? How can you stay consistent? How can you build anything lasting? When you wake up and leave your phone alone, you give your brain space to breathe. That's when you can ask real questions. How do I feel today? What's bothering me? What's going well? What do I want to do better? These are not small questions. These are life-building questions. You can't answer them if your brain is already filled with headlines, messages, opinions, videos, and alerts. Before you even get a grip on your own mind, the world has already taken your attention away. And you may not realize it, but when you pick up your phone first thing in the morning, you're training your brain to react. You're not in charge, your phone is. The messages, the feed, the notifications, they all pull you into the habit of reacting instead of choosing. That affects everything else. You become more distracted, more anxious, more scattered. You lose your own priorities because you've given your time to everyone else's priorities. But when you break that habit and take 5 or 10 quiet minutes to sit with your thoughts, everything begins to shift. That time creates power. You hear what you really think. You recognize what matters. You feel your emotions clearly. You get honest with yourself. That's where strong decisions come from. Not from noise, not from scrolling, but from stillness. Some people are afraid to sit with their thoughts. They don't want to face what's inside. But avoiding your thoughts never fixes anything. It just keeps you running from yourself. And running from yourself is a race you can never win. You have to learn to face your mind without distraction. That's where your confidence grows. That's where your maturity develops. That's where you stop escaping and start taking control. You don't need anything fancy. You don't need a complicated morning routine. You just need to wake up, put your phone down, and sit. Sit and breathe. And sit and sit and sit and sit and sit. Sit and ask real questions. Sit and be fully present. No screen, no noise, just you and your truth. That's how you clean out mental clutter. That's how you reset your emotions. That's how you build clarity and strength that carries through the entire day. Because once you start the day from a place of calm, you're not easily shaken by what comes later. You're not as reactive. You don't fall apart when plans change. You don't spiral when someone says something negative. You already centered yourself. You already processed your thoughts. You already decided how you wanted to carry yourself. That's what sitting in silence gives you. A strong foundation. Your mind, like your body, needs time to stretch and warm up. If you go straight from sleep into chaos, you skip that mental warm-up, and then you wonder why you feel lost, behind, or overwhelmed all day. It's not because the world got harder overnight. It's because you started your day in the wrong state of mind. When you sit in silence, you also give yourself a chance to reset your energy. You can choose how you want to show up, not based on the past, not based on fear, but based on the person you're working to become. As a real gift, you can give yourself every single morning space to reset your intention and energy before the world steals it. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present. You don't have to have all the answers, but you have to show up for yourself. Most people never do that. They show up for their phone, they show up for their job, they show up for social media, but they don't show up for their own mind, and that's why they feel lost. They're living life without ever checking in with themselves. When you start sitting with your thoughts in the morning, you'll notice something. You'll start to hear the voice in your head more clearly. That voice that tells you the truth, that reminds you of what you said you wanted. That voice that gets drowned out by distractions all day, and the more you listen to it, the stronger it becomes. That's how self-trust grows, by listening to yourself before anyone else. You also begin to understand your patterns. You start seeing what triggers your anxiety, what habits you repeat without thinking, what beliefs are helping you and what beliefs are holding you back. That self-awareness leads to better choices, and better choices lead to a better life. But none of that happens by accident. It starts with one simple move. Don't touch your phone. Sit down. Breathe. Listen. Get to know your thoughts before the world tries to tell you who you are. And here's the truth. Nobody can do this part for you. No one can sit with your thoughts except you. No one knows what you need better than your own mind. But if you don't give it space to speak, you'll never hear it. You'll keep repeating the same cycles, the same frustrations, the same habits. Not because you're not capable, but because you're not connected to yourself. When you commit to this one act each morning, everything around you starts to change. Not because life gets easier, but because you become stronger. You become more focused, more grounded, more clear on who you are and what matters to you. That clarity shows in how you speak, how you work, how you handle problems. It creates a calm confidence that others notice. Not because you try to impress them, but because you carry yourself with inner control. So stop handing your mind over to the world the moment you wake up. Keep your phone on the table. Don't check messages, don't scroll, don't react. Give yourself 10 minutes to be a human being, not a machine. That short space of time becomes your mental gym. And just like the body gets stronger when you train it, your mind gets sharper when you give it space to think. That's what high achievers do. They don't wake up and hand their attention away. They protect it, they guide it, they train it, and they build a life that reflects that focus. You can do the same, and it starts with this one simple thing. Every morning, put your phone down and sit with your thoughts. Because when you do that, you're not wasting time, you're making space. You're not being lazy, you're being intentional. And most of all, you're not escaping life. You're preparing to face it, fully awake. That's what real growth feels like, and it's yours to experience every single morning, starting now.
Chapter 3. Write how you feel without trying to fix it. Most people wake up every day carrying thoughts they never say and feelings they never face. They move through their routine with a smile they force and a heaviness they can't explain. That silent pressure builds up, day after day, because they've never been taught something simple. It's okay to feel what you feel without needing to fix it right away. And the most powerful habit you can create is to sit down each morning and write exactly how you feel, with honesty, with no filters, and without trying to change anything. You don't need fancy words. You don't need perfect grammar. You just need the courage to be real with yourself. Grab a notebook, open a blank page, and write what's actually going on inside you. Not what you think you should feel, not what would sound nice if someone read it. What you truly feel right now. Maybe it's confusion, maybe it's frustration, maybe it's peace, maybe it's nothing. Whatever it is, it deserves space. Because what you ignore doesn't disappear, it grows louder in the background. Most people have been trained to run from their emotions. They've been taught to stay positive, to look on the bright side, to always be okay. But that doesn't work in real life. In real life, people get tired, they get hurt, they get overwhelmed, and that's part of being human. You don't have to hide it to be strong. Real strength is when you stop pretending and start being honest with yourself. That's why writing down how you feel, with no pressure to fix it, is one of the healthiest things you can do. It's not weakness, it's ownership. It means you're not scared of your truth. It means you're not letting your emotions control you in silence. You're facing them in plain sight. You don't need to write a lot. You just need to be direct. If you're angry, write that. If you're tired, say it. If you're lost, admit it. If you feel nothing, write I feel none. That's better than forcing fake clarity, because once your real emotions are on paper, they stop spinning in your head. You can see them clearly, and when you see them clearly, you start to understand them. Not fix, understand. Trying to fix your emotions too quickly is like trying to clean a wound by covering it. It might look okay on the outside, but underneath it never heals. When you write without trying to solve anything, you give your emotions a place to be seen. You're saying, I'm listening. And that changes something inside you. It quiets the mental noise, it lowers the emotional pressure, it brings you closer to clarity. Not because you forced it, but because you allowed space for it to show up naturally. Some mornings you'll write and feel relief. Other days you'll write and still feel unsure. That's normal. The point is not to feel perfect. The point is to face what's real. The people who grow the most are not the ones who always feel good. They're the ones who stay honest no matter how they feel. This habit also helps you separate who you are from what you feel. You are not your bad day. You are not your frustration. You are not your dad. You're the person observing those feelings and writing them down. That alone gives you power. You're not trapped in your thoughts. You're processing them. When you make this part of your morning, you'll start to notice something important. Your emotions begin to tell you things. They reveal patterns. You'll see that certain thoughts keep repeating. Certain situations always trigger you. Certain worries always return. That's not random. That's insight. And once you see those patterns clearly, you'll know what to work on. But only when you're ready. Because the truth is, not every feeling needs to be solved right away. Some just need to be felt. Some just need to be written down. That's where emotional maturity starts. It's not in controlling every emotion. It's in allowing them to be there, without panic or guilt. Writing in this way also removes the pressure to always be productive. It gives you a moment to just be. Not to do. Not to perform. Just to be. In that space, your mind slows down. Your heart softens. You stop running. And that gives your inner world time to reset. Even 5 minutes of this can change how you walk into your day. You'll carry less weight. You'll speak more honestly. You'll react with more patience. Not because someone told you how to feel, but because you took the time to feel for yourself. And here's something powerful. No one else has to see what you write. It's for you. That means there's no need to impress, no need to filter, no need to edit. Just write what's there. It's not about being a writer. It's about being real. That freedom makes the habit easier to stick to. Because it's not a performance, it's a release. You also start to become your own best listener. That's rare in today's world. People listen to music, podcasts, social media, news, but they don't take time to listen to their own mind. You don't need more noise. You need more truth. And truth shows up when you're still and honest. There's also something healing about using your own words to describe your emotions. It's one thing to think a thought, it's another to see it written. It becomes real, and once it's real, it's less confusing. You can work with it. You can make decisions with more clarity. You can see the difference between a passing feeling and a deeper issue. And sometimes, just writing something out is enough. You'll write, "I'm overwhelmed," and by the time you've finished the sentence, the pressure will start to lift. Not because the situation changed, but because you named it. You gave it space. You brought it out of the dark. That's how you stop emotions from controlling you. Not by avoiding them, but by acknowledging them. When you write daily, you also get to look back. And that reflection is powerful. You'll see progress you forgot about. You'll notice how your tone has changed. You'll realize that what used to shake you now feels smaller. That's growth. That's maturity. And that's proof that your mind is getting stronger, even on days you don't feel it. This is not a ritual for perfect people. It's for real people. People who are building something inside. People who want more out of life, but know they have to start by understanding themselves first. It's not about fixing every feeling. It's about honoring them, learning from them, and growing through them. Slowly and honestly. You owe it to yourself to know what's happening in your mind. You owe it to yourself to stop pretending. You owe it to yourself to build a deeper relationship with your own truth. No one else can do that for you. It starts by sitting down each morning and saying, "Here's how I feel today," without apology, without panic, and without trying to be someone else. When you do that, you build emotional strength. You build self-respect. You build a morning routine that isn't just about doing. It's about understanding. And that understanding gives you a different kind of confidence. The kind that doesn't need approval. The kind that comes from knowing yourself fully. And still choosing to keep going. That's what this habit gives you. Not perfection. Not a quick fix. But peace, clarity, strength. And over time, that becomes the foundation of a life you can be proud of. One that's grounded. One that's honest. One that moves forward with purpose. Not by avoiding emotions, but by respecting them every single morning. Chapter 4. Ask yourself what matters most to you today. Every morning when you wake up, your mind is fresh. It hasn't been filled yet with distractions, demands, or pressure from the outside world. That short window before the noise begins is your chance to center yourself. Most people waste it. They get up, check their phone, rush into their routine, and go straight into reacting. They move fast, but without direction. They stay busy, but they don't feel fulfilled. Not because they lack time, but because they never stop to ask a simple but powerful question. What matters most to me today? That one question can shape your entire day. It helps you move with clarity. It forces you to pause and decide what actually deserves your energy. Most people never ask that. They wake up and fall into the habits of yesterday. They repeat what feels urgent. They chase what everyone else is doing. But they don't pause to check in with themselves. And when you don't ask yourself what matters, you end up spending your day on things that don't. Asking this question in the morning is not just a good idea, it's a way to live on purpose. Because the truth is, you can't do everything. You can't say yes to every task, every message, every problem, and still have room left for what's important. Every day, something will try to pull your attention away. That's guaranteed. So, if you don't decide what matters most right now, someone else will decide for you. And most of the time, their priorities won't match yours. This habit is about more than productivity. It's about being honest with yourself. It's about facing your current season of life and saying, out of everything I could do, what truly deserves my time today? Sometimes the answer will be about your work. Sometimes it'll be about your health. Sometimes it'll be about your relationship. Sometimes it might be about rest. But it has to come from you, not pressure, not guilt, not comparison. from you. When you stop for a few quiet minutes each morning to ask yourself this question, you give yourself a gift. You give yourself a chance to reset your direction, to realign your focus, to bring your energy back to what actually builds your life, instead of just fills your time. That one moment of clarity can save you from an entire day of distraction. It's easy to think that if you just work harder, you'll eventually get where you want to be, but working hard on the wrong things only burns you out. Effort without direction leads to frustration. That's why this question is so important. It creates direction. It helps you recognize the difference between what feels urgent and what's actually meaningful, and that difference changes everything. When you wake up and ask yourself what matters most to you today, you also begin to live more intentionally. You stop moving through your days on autopilot. You stop saying yes to things just because they show up. You begin to act instead of react. You take back control of your schedule. You take back control of your mindset. You stop waiting for things to feel right and start creating alignment from within. There's something powerful about starting your day with a decision. It doesn't have to be complicated. You're not writing your life plan. You're deciding what one thing out of everything matters most today. Just one thing. That kind of clarity creates strength. Because when you know what matters, you also know what doesn't. You can say no without guilt. You can slow down without shame. You can make progress that actually feels like progress, not just movement. This practice also helps you connect with your deeper values. What you choose each day reveals what's important to you over time. And if you don't like the answer, you can adjust. That's the beauty of this habit. It keeps you honest. It stops you from drifting. It keeps you close to what truly matters to you, even when life gets messy. Some mornings you'll ask this question, and the answer will be clear. Other days it might feel cloudy. That's okay. The point isn't to have perfect answers. The point is to stop and check in. Even the act of asking builds awareness. You might realize you've been neglecting something. You might see where you've been distracted. You might notice that you're avoiding something that matters. That awareness is what helps you grow. You don't need an elaborate system to do this. You just need a quiet space, even for a minute or two. Take a breath. Ask yourself with honesty, what matters most to me today? Then listen. Don't rush the answer. Don't overthink it. Let your real priorities speak. Not the ones you think you should have, but the ones that feel real to you. When you build this into your morning, you begin to live with more peace. Not because life becomes easy, but because you become clear. You don't waste as much energy chasing the wrong things. You stop proving yourself to people who aren't even paying attention. You stop trading your time for things that drain you. That kind of clarity doesn't just improve your productivity, it improves your quality of life. The people who move forward in life consistently are not always the most talented. They're not always the most motivated, but they are usually the most intentional. They don't just start the day with effort. They start it with purpose. They choose what they're moving toward. They know what they're saying yes to. That's what keeps them grounded, even in chaos. This habit also creates better decisions throughout the day. When things get busy, when distractions come, when pressure builds, you can go back to that morning decision. You can remind yourself, this is what I said matters today. That gives you a filter. It gives you the ability to stay focused, even when life pulls at you from all sides. Over time, this daily check-in builds consistency. It becomes a ritual of clarity, a way to lead yourself. And leadership starts with self-direction. You can't lead your time, your goals, or your life if you don't know where you're going. Asking what matters most today gives you that daily direction. It builds the habit of living with intention, one day at a time. And you'll notice something. The more you ask this question, the more your life starts to reflect your values. You stop wasting energy. You stop feeling as scattered. You become more decisive. You become more peaceful. You become more effective, not because you're doing more, but because you're doing what matters. This habit can also help you slow down. In a world that praises speed and constant movement, asking what matters most helps you pause and reset. It helps you resist the pressure to do everything. It reminds you that being busy is not the same as being fulfilled. It reminds you that meaning comes from alignment, not from overload. No one else can tell you what your answer should be. It has to come from within. That's what makes it powerful. It's your day, your priorities, your life. But if you never stop to ask, you'll never live it fully. You'll spend your time meeting everyone's expectations, but your own. This question brings you back to center. It brings you back to truth. And it's simple enough to ask every day. You don't need motivation. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need a moment of honesty. That's how great days begin. Not with hype, not with noise, but with clear intention. So tomorrow morning, before the world takes over your attention, take it back. Sit with yourself. Ask, what matters most to me today? Then make that your guide. Let that answer shape your decisions, your focus, your energy. That's how you build a life that reflects who you really are. One day, one choice, one honest morning at a time.
Chapter 5. Remind yourself nobody else will do it for you. There comes a point where you have to stop waiting for someone to help you, waiting for someone to give you a reason, waiting for someone to push you. That kind of waiting becomes a habit, and it keeps people stuck. The truth is, if you're serious about changing your life, you need to wake up every morning and remind yourself of one hard truth. Nobody else is going to do it for you. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to push you out of bed, tell you to chase your goals, or make your decisions for you. That responsibility is yours, and if you don't take it seriously, you're going to stay in the same place. Most people don't fail because they're not smart enough. They fail because they keep hoping someone else will take the lead for them. They keep hoping things will somehow get easier, or someone will notice their potential and pull them up. But life doesn't work that way. No matter how much people love you, they can't live your life. They can't fight your battles. They can't build your habits. They can't carry your discipline. You have to carry your own weight. You have to show up when it's hard. You have to move even when nobody's clapping. That's the part most people don't want to hear, but that's also the part that separates the people who change their lives from the people who keep making excuses. When you wake up, the first voice in your head should be your own, and it needs to be strong enough to remind you, everything you want is your job to go after. If you want more confidence, you have to earn it. If you want better health, you have to work for it. If you want to stop feeling lost, you have to start finding your own direction. Nobody's handing it to you. There's something powerful about fully accepting that. It's not depressing, it's freeing. Because now you don't have to wait anymore. You don't have to rely on anyone else. You don't have to hope that someone finally believes in you. You just have to get up and move forward. Step by step, day by day, with or without applause, with or without help, with or without motivation. The people who win in life aren't the ones who had the most support. They're the ones who decided, I'm not waiting anymore. I'm not depending on luck. I'm not hoping someone pulls me out of this. I'm going to do it myself. That's the switch. That's when life starts to respond differently. Because when you take full responsibility, you gain full power. Every single day, you have two choices. You either move toward the life you want, or you move further away from it. And if you're not moving, you're drifting. If you're not taking action, you're settling. It doesn't matter how small your steps are.
It only matters that you take them. Nobody else can walk them for you. Nobody else can do the push-ups, read the book, write the plan, or face your truth. It's on you, and that's not pressure, that's purpose. That means your progress is not in the hands of the world, it's in yours, and that means you can do something about it, right now, not tomorrow. Not when life feels perfect, not when someone gives you permission, but right now, today, as you are. And no, it won't always feel fair. There are going to be days when you feel tired, days when you feel like giving up, days when you wish someone else would carry the weight, but those are the days that build you. Those are the days that shape who you become, because when you keep going anyway, you're not just surviving, you're becoming stronger. You can't expect to grow without pressure. You can't expect to succeed without effort, and you can't expect results without responsibility. Wishing doesn't create change, hoping doesn't build habits, complaining doesn't improve anything, only action does, and that action starts with a mindset. The mindset that says, no one else will do it for me, so I will. When you start thinking that way, your energy shifts. You stop blaming. You stop pointing fingers. You stop waiting for someone to fix your situation. Instead, you look at yourself and say, what can I do today? Even if it's small, even if it's messy, even if it's uncomfortable. That's how growth happens, not in big leaps, but in daily choices made without excuses. People who achieve things, they're not superhuman. They just stopped expecting someone else to solve their problems. They built a habit of showing up for themselves. They built discipline when nobody else was watching. They made progress when nobody else cared. That's what makes them different. Not talent, not background, but ownership. You have to learn to rely on your own voice, to tell yourself the truth, to remind yourself every single morning that your life is your job. Nobody else can give it shape. Nobody else can fill your days with meaning. That has to come from you. And yes, people can support you. People can encourage you. People can believe in you, but none of that matters if you don't believe in yourself enough to act. Encouragement without effort is empty. Support without action changes nothing. Your future belongs to the version of you who shows up, not the version who waits. This mindset will also teach you something deeper. That even when people let you down, you can keep going. You don't crumble because someone else didn't show up. You don't fall apart because someone doubted you. You keep building. Because your commitment doesn't depend on them, it depends on you. When you own that truth, you stop expecting life to feel easy. You stop needing everything to be fair. You start doing the work regardless. That's what separates the strong from the frustrated. That's what keeps your goals alive when motivation fades. And it's what builds self-respect, because every time you follow through, even when no one sees it, you build trust with yourself. You can't keep waiting for someone to push you. You can't keep hoping the perfect moment arrives. You have to stop giving your power away. That power belongs to you. Take it back. Start moving. Start building. Start showing up for your life, even if nobody else does. Because at the end of the day, it's your name on your future, not anyone else's. It's your habits that will shape your results. It's your mindset that will determine your direction. And it's your choices every morning that will decide where you go next. So wake up, stand up, speak to yourself like someone who matters, because you do, and you don't need anyone else to tell you. You need to believe it, act on it, and prove it through how you live. The world might not notice right away. That's okay. You're not doing this to impress anyone. You're doing it because you know this life is yours to shape, and no one else will do it for you. That belief, practiced daily, is what transforms you. That decision, made every morning, is what creates results. Not luck, not waiting, but ownership. You either step up and take control, or you stay in the same cycle. The choice is yours, and you have to make it every single day, because the truth is simple. If you don't do it, no one else will. If you don't build it, it won't exist. If you don't push, nothing moves. And if you want a life that means something, you have to take full responsibility for building it. That's the mindset that separates dreamers from doers. And the sooner you own it, the sooner your life starts changing for real.
Chapter 6. Look at yesterday and decide what to fix now. Every day you wake up, you have a fresh chance. But that chance means nothing if you don't learn from the day that came before it. Yesterday is not gone just because the sun came up today. Yesterday leaves behind clues. It leaves behind patterns. It leaves behind decisions you made and moments you missed. And if you want to grow, if you truly want to move forward, you have to take a hard look at yesterday and decide what needs to be fixed right now. Most people don't do that. They wake up and try to forget what didn't go well. They rush into today, hoping the problems will disappear. But ignoring what went wrong only guarantees that you'll repeat it. Avoiding the mistakes of yesterday guarantees you'll carry the same frustration, the same confusion, and the same regret. The only way to move forward is to be honest with what didn't work, not in a way that brings shame, but in a way that brings clarity. You have to ask yourself, what did I avoid yesterday? What did I waste time on? What did I do that I knew wasn't right? Did I speak out of frustration? Did I scroll too long? Did I skip something I promised myself I'd do? These are the questions that put your life under your control. Because if you can't reflect, you can't improve. And if you can't improve, you stay stuck. There's a difference between guilt and responsibility. Guilt keeps you frozen. Responsibility moves you forward. This habit, taking a few quiet moments every morning to look back at yesterday, it's not about beating yourself up. It's about building awareness. It's about catching patterns before they become problems. Because one bad choice might not ruin anything, but repeating that choice every day will. When you start doing this, you begin to notice your behavior clearly. You stop lying to yourself. You stop saying things like, I don't have time, or I just forgot. Because you've built the habit of looking at the truth. And the truth is, most of us already know what we need to change. We just don't slow down long enough to face it. Look at your choices from the day before. Were they aligned with the life you say you want? Did your actions reflect your values? Were you focused or distracted? Were you disciplined or careless? You don't need to make 100 changes at once. You just need to find one thing to fix today. One thing that moved you in the wrong direction yesterday, and do something about it now. This daily review gives you the power to redirect, to adjust before things get worse, to fix small habits before they turn into long-term problems. If you overreacted yesterday, today's your chance to calm down. If you slacked off yesterday, today's your chance to refocus. If you wasted time, today's your chance to manage it better. This isn't about being perfect. It's about refusing to let your mistakes repeat without effort. To improve. Most people don't struggle because of lack of knowledge. They struggle because they don't take time to reflect. The world pushes them to move faster, to do more, to stay busy, but they never pause to ask if they're actually improving. They confuse motion with progress, but true progress requires correction. And correction only happens when you're willing to examine what needs fixing. This habit also builds self-trust. When you start each day by taking ownership of the last one, you prove to yourself that you're paying attention. You're not ignoring your life. You're not floating through it. You're showing up with awareness. You're becoming your own guide. That's how confidence is built, through small acts of self-leadership every day. And there's no shame in needing to fix something. That's life. That's growth. The strongest people aren't the ones who never mess up. They're the ones who notice quickly and make the adjustment. They don't wait for everything to fall apart. They fix things while they're still small. They take control before chaos takes control of them.
This habit also sharpens your ability to focus. Because when you look at what didn't work yesterday, you realize how easily you drift. You realize how simple distractions pull you away from what matters. And that realization makes you more intentional today. You start protecting your time. You start questioning your choices. You start living with more purpose. And it's not just about mistakes, it's about momentum too. Maybe you did something great yesterday. Maybe you were focused, kind, disciplined, strong. Don't overlook that. Look at what worked and repeat it. Build on it, keep it going. This habit is not just about what to fix. It's also about what to continue, what to strengthen, what to grow. Every day gives you a new opportunity, but it also gives you a responsibility. A responsibility to learn from your own life. Not from books. Not from videos, but from your own actions. Your past is the greatest teacher you'll ever have, if you're willing to look at it. But don't just look. Decide. Don't just see what went wrong. Fix it. Don't just feel regret. Change the pattern. Don't just notice the mistake. Make today better. That's how you grow. Not by talking about change. Not by waiting for motivation. But by facing yesterday and doing something different today. And don't expect it to be easy. Change is uncomfortable. Looking at your own mistakes is uncomfortable. But ignoring them is even worse. Because then you carry the same pain over and over and wonder why nothing changes. You owe it to yourself to do better. Not because someone is watching, but because you know you're capable of more. Start every morning with a short reflection. Ask yourself what didn't sit right from the day before. Be honest. Be direct. Then choose one thing to correct. That's it. One improvement a day. Over time, that adds up. That's how real change happens. Not through dramatic events, but through small, consistent adjustments made by someone who refuses to stay the same. This mindset puts you back in charge. You don't blame anyone. You don't make excuses. You don't pretend. You accept that yesterday wasn't perfect, and you do something about it today. That's maturity. That's ownership. And that's how you build a future you can be proud of. If you want peace, if you want power, if you want real progress, then start paying attention to your own life. Start learning from your actions. Start holding yourself to a higher standard, not for approval, not for applause, but for your own growth, for your own sense of direction, for your own future. Because every single morning is a chance to rise better than you were. But you can't do that if you keep repeating the same patterns blindly. You need to review. You need to understand. And you need to decide what to fix. Not next week. Not someday, but now. Because if you don't fix it now, it grows. It spreads. It starts to define you. And you're better than that. You have the power to make today different. But only if you look at yesterday with honesty. Only if you face what's broken. Only if you take the lesson and apply it. That's how strong people are built. That's how lives are changed. That's how you move forward. One correction at a time. Made with discipline. Made with humility. Made with purpose. And it starts with one habit. Look at yesterday. Decide what needs to be fixed. Then fix it now. Not later. Not when it's convenient. Now. Because this day is already in your hands. What you do with it is up to you. Chapter 7. Say your goal out loud, like you mean it. Most people have goals, but very few ever bring those goals into the real world. They think about them. They write them down. They daydream about how life would look if they reached them. But they rarely speak them with conviction. They hold the dream inside like a quiet secret, hoping it will grow on its own. But that's not how goals become real. That's not how you turn a thought into a result. If you want to build a life that moves forward, If you want to live with direction and strength, then you need to start saying your goal out loud, like you mean it. Not quietly, not half-heartedly, not as a whisper to yourself, but with real belief behind it, with energy, with clarity, with power. Saying your goal out loud is not about trying to be motivational. It's about locking in your commitment. It's about giving your mind a command. The moment you speak it with intent, it stops being a vague idea and starts becoming a direction. You're telling yourself, this is what I'm building, this is what I'm serious about, this is where I'm going. That one habit, saying your goal out loud every morning, can shift your entire mindset, because you're no longer just thinking about it. You're owning it. You're reminding yourself before the distractions come, before the doubts hit, before the noise of the day takes over, and how you say it matters. If you say it like it's just a maybe, like it's a hope or a wish, then that's exactly how your brain will treat it. But if you say it with strength, like you've already decided, then it begins to feel real. That's how the mind works. It listens to your tone. It hears your certainty or your hesitation. If you want your actions to follow your words, then your words have to be sharp and direct. Don't say, I want to get in shape. Say, I will be disciplined with my body. Don't say, I hope I succeed. Say, I am building success every single day. That shift in language is not about motivation. It's about mental direction. There's power in hearing your own voice speak with certainty. It activates something inside you. You stop living in doubt. You stop questioning if you're allowed to want more. You stop giving room to hesitation. Saying your goal out loud is a way of giving yourself permission to pursue it fully, and you need that. Because the world will give you plenty of chances to forget your goal. You'll face distractions. You'll get discouraged. You'll feel tired. But if you've trained yourself to say your goal out loud every morning, then no matter what's happening around you, you know exactly what you're working toward. Most people struggle because they lack consistency. They say their goal once and then forget it the next day. But the ones who succeed, really succeed, build rituals around their mindset. They don't leave clarity up to chance. They remind themselves every single day of what they're doing and why they're doing it. And that's not a big effort. It takes 30 seconds. You stand up, take a deep breath, and speak your goal with intensity. That one action can rewire your focus for the entire day. Think about how often you let negative thoughts come out of your mouth. How often you say things like, I'm tired, I can't do this, nothing's working, and you say it like it's truth. That becomes your reality. Now imagine if every morning you replaced that with a goal said out loud, with full emotion. I will finish my book. I will build this business. I will stay consistent no matter what. That's not just words. That's direction. That's intention. That's a commitment being made to yourself out loud. And when you do it every day, it starts to shift your identity. You start believing it. You start acting like someone who follows through. Because repetition builds identity. The more often you say it, the more natural it becomes. And the more natural it becomes, the more real it starts to feel. Eventually, it becomes part of you. Not something you're trying to do, but something you are doing. Something you live. This habit also helps you deal with doubt. Doubt will come. That's guaranteed. But when you speak your goal out loud with confidence, even on the hard days, you're training yourself to push through doubt. You're building resilience. You're teaching yourself to stay focused even when your emotions shift. That's how serious people think. That's how people with discipline behave. They don't rely on perfect conditions. They rely on clear decisions. You don't need a crowd. You don't need applause. You don't need anyone else to hear it. This is between you and yourself, but it has to be real. It has to be loud enough for your brain to hear it. It has to carry emotion. It has to sound like you believe it. If you say it like you're not sure, your actions will reflect that same uncertainty. Some people are afraid to speak their goal because they're afraid to fail. They think that saying it makes them more vulnerable. But avoiding it makes you weaker. The more you speak it, the less fear it holds. You make it normal. You take the pressure off. You stop waiting for the perfect moment, and you start moving with purpose. And even if you stumble, you still know where you're going. That's what matters. Saying your goal out loud also helps with alignment. You start asking better questions throughout the day. Is this helping me reach my goal? Does this align with the person I'm becoming? You stop drifting. You stop wasting time on things that don't matter. You create a filter for your choices, and that filter keeps you focused, disciplined, and grounded. It also helps you see progress more clearly, because if you're saying the same goal out loud every day, you'll naturally start measuring how far you've come. You'll notice the habits you've kept. You'll recognize the changes you've made. And that awareness fuels momentum. It keeps you from quitting. It reminds you that even if you're not there yet, you're on the path. This isn't about shouting. This isn't about pretending. It's about speaking with certainty. About deciding that your goal deserves a place in your daily routine. Not hidden in a notebook. Not locked away in but spoken clearly. Spoken with energy. Spoken with belief. Even on the days when you feel like nothing is working, say it anyway. Especially on those days, that's when you need it most. Because when you speak it, you start to feel it. And when you feel it, you start to act. That's how you build consistency. Not by waiting to feel good, but by leading with clear intention. You owe it to yourself to do this. Not because it guarantees success overnight, but because it builds the kind of mindset that doesn't give up. It reminds you that you're in control, that you're serious, that you're showing up fully. And when you show up like that every day, life starts to shift. People start to notice. Opportunities start to align. Not because of luck, but because of clarity. So every morning, find a moment. Stand still. Speak your goal. Say it like it matters. Say it like it's already in motion. Say it like it's non-negotiable. And say it like the person who's going to make it happen. Because that's what you are. A builder. A doer. A person who doesn't just think about change, but lives it every single day. Starting with a voice that refuses to stay silent about what matters most. Chapter 8. Wash your face and prepare to face real life. The moment you wake up, you're not fully ready. Your body might be upright, your eyes may be open, but your mind is still somewhere in between sleep and responsibility. And that's exactly why one of the most powerful actions you can take early in the morning is to walk over to the sink, wash your face with cold water, and step into reality with full awareness. It sounds like a small act, but it's more than hygiene. It's a signal, a mental shift, a personal reminder that it's time to stop hiding from life and start showing up to it with strength, awareness, and responsibility. That water hitting your skin, it wakes up more than your senses. It wakes up your awareness. It wakes up the part of you that's been numb, the part that wants to stay in comfort, the part that doesn't feel like facing pressure, tasks, challenges, or uncertainty. In that moment, you're not just cleaning your face, you're resetting your state. You're letting yourself know that sleep is over, and the world is not going to wait for you. Real life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It doesn't pause until your emotions catch up. It keeps moving, and either you step into it with full presence, or you fall behind. Washing your face in the morning is a physical action that prepares your mind to participate in the day. It tells your brain, wake up, because this day is real, and it's mine to handle. This habit doesn't take time. It doesn't require motivation, it requires awareness. The awareness that you need something to break the mental fog, something to get you from sleepy to sharp, from delay to direction. That water isn't just cold, it's honest. It's a reminder that there are no shortcuts. You don't get to sleepwalk through life. You either rise and face it, or it piles up on you. And when I say real life, I don't mean only problems, I mean everything. The responsibilities, the small tasks, the long-term goals, the personal decisions you've been putting off. The uncomfortable truth is that most people want better lives, but they're not preparing themselves to handle reality. They keep escaping it. They scroll, they avoid, they lie to themselves, they drift. But there's no growth in escape. There's only comfort, and comfort doesn't push you forward. The moment you put that water on your face, it's your reset button. It brings you into the now. It tells your mind, we're not hiding today. We're not waiting for someone to do the work for us. We're not pretending things are fine when they're not. We're stepping into the day, with both feet on the ground. And this is important. Don't rush through this habit like it's nothing. Be fully present while you do it. Feel the temperature of the water. Let it shock you awake. Feel your breath deep. Look yourself in the mirror and face what's really there. Not just the reflection, but the responsibility. Ask yourself, am I ready to show up today, even if it's not perfect? Am I ready to take on what I've been avoiding? Am I willing to face discomfort without running? These aren't dramatic questions. These are the questions that shape your life, because the way you approach your day is often decided in the first few minutes. Most people lose the battle before they even get started. They roll out of bed in a fog, go straight to their phone, and drown themselves in noise. They never give their mind a clean start. But you, if you're serious, need to do things different. The difference between someone who grows and someone who stays stuck is often the decision to face what's real, instead of avoiding it. Real life is not always comfortable. It's not always organized, but it always shows up. And if you want to grow stronger, more focused, and more disciplined, you have to train yourself to show up with it. That starts with your energy. It starts with your presence. It starts with what you allow yourself to feel first thing in the morning. The water you splash on your face isn't magic, but your intention behind it is. You're not just waking up, you're showing up. And that's the difference. You're telling your nervous system that we don't run from hard things. We don't freeze in the face of pressure. We prepare ourselves, physically and mentally, to respond with action. That's the part most people miss. They expect motivation to come out of nowhere. But motivation comes from movement, from rituals, from how you begin your day. Not with distractions, not with hesitation, but with a grounded step into real life. And it's not about being perfect. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't need everything figured out. You just need to be ready to deal with what's in front of you. The conversations you've been avoiding, the discipline you keep skipping, the small actions that feel unimportant, but are actually the foundation of progress. All of it matters. Washing your face and grounding yourself is also a way to reconnect with your responsibility, because no matter what's happened in the past, today is still yours. No matter what mistakes you made yesterday, today gives you a new chance to respond better. But that can only happen if you're awake to it, if you're aware enough to say, I know what I need to do, and I'm going to do it. Real life doesn't ask you if you feel like it. It simply gives you the next moment, and you can either use that moment, or waste it. You can either train your mind to respond, or train it to retreat. Every morning, you get a chance to choose which direction you go. Some people think growth is about big moments, big wins, big breakthrough, but it's not. It's about doing the small things with serious intent. Splashing water on your face and telling yourself, I'm here, I'm ready, I will deal with whatever comes. That's real, that's grounded, that's powerful. You don't need someone to give you permission to face your life. You already have the right, but you do need to remind yourself every morning that hiding doesn't help, that pretending doesn't change anything, that numbing out only delays the progress you say you want. You need to be the one who takes responsibility for your state, your mindset, your day. That's what this habit represents. It's not about hygiene, it's about honesty. It's about shaking off the fog and walking into the day with clarity. You're not a victim of your morning. You're the one directing it. You're not waiting for the right energy. You're creating it. That's how people who grow operate. They don't wait to feel ready. They train themselves to be ready. So the next time you walk to that sink in the morning, don't just go through the motions. Make it a moment. Let it be your signal that you are done with drifting, that you are ready for action, that no matter what's ahead of you, you're going to meet it head on, with energy, with awareness, with a mindset that says, I am not here to hide from real life. I am here to face it and grow from it. That's how transformation begins, in the smallest steps done with serious purpose. And that's what gives you the power to rise, one clean, clear, grounded morning at a time. Chapter 9. Check your attitude before you walk out the door. Before you leave your house and step into the world, there's something you need to do that's just as important as grabbing your keys or putting on your shoes. You need to check your attitude, not later, not when something goes wrong, but before you even walk out the door. Because how you carry yourself into the world has the power to shape what comes back to you. And if you step into your day with the wrong mindset, you'll misread everything that happens to you. You'll turn small things into big problems. You'll blame people instead of leading yourself. You'll keep repeating emotional reactions that drain your energy and break your focus. You may not control everything that happens today, but you do control how you meet it, and that's the real power of attitude. It's your filter. It determines how you respond to pressure. It affects how you speak, how you think, how you solve problems, how you handle the unexpected. And the most important time to shape that filter is right before you leave the house. That's the moment where you decide whether you're going to walk out as someone reactive or someone grounded, someone short-tempered or someone focused, someone defensive or someone prepared. Most people don't realize they even have a choice. They wake up, get dressed, and take yesterday's frustrations with them. They carry last week's resentment. They walk into the day already tired, already irritated, already closed off. And then they wonder why things feel heavy, why they're stuck, why they can't enjoy anything. But it didn't start outside. It started with how they walked out the door. That's the moment they gave up control. When you build the habit of checking your attitude before you leave, you take back that control. You stop blaming your mood on circumstances. You stop waiting for the world to behave the way you want. You start becoming someone who sets the tone instead of reacting to it. That's real maturity. That's what strong people do. They don't let emotion drive them. They lead their emotion before the world tests it. This doesn't take an hour. It doesn't take complicated routines. It just takes honesty. Take a few quiet seconds. Ask yourself, how am I carrying myself right now? Not how you look, not what you're wearing, but your posture, your mindset, your inner tone. Is it negative? Is it stressed? Is it unfocused? Are you already impatient and nobody's even spoken to you yet? Don't lie to yourself. Don't pretend you're fine if you're not. This habit isn't about faking a smile. It's about choosing a better state. If you're upset, admit it. If you're drained, face it. But once you've acknowledged it, ask the real question. Is this the attitude I want to bring into my day? If it's not, then shift. Not by forcing yourself to feel happy, but by choosing to lead with purpose. Sometimes that means calming yourself down before you leave. Sometimes it means forgiving something you've been holding on to. Sometimes it means reminding yourself of the goal and dropping the distraction. Whatever it is, take responsibility for it. You don't need everything to be perfect to carry yourself with intention. You just need to decide you're not going to bring the worst of yourself into a new day. And the truth is, the world doesn't care about your excuses. It responds to your energy. If you walk into work or a conversation or a room already frustrated, people feel that. If you approach a problem with negativity, the solution gets harder to find. If you carry a bitter attitude, you create tension where there doesn't need to be any. You may think it's small, but the way you carry yourself can either open doors or close. Checking your attitude every morning is also a sign of discipline. It means you're not just letting the day happen to you, you're preparing to shape it. You're adjusting your tone, your thoughts, your energy before the world tests your patience. That's what separates the scattered from the steady, the frustrated from the focused, the emotional from the effective. And make no mistake, your attitude affects your decisions. If you start the day annoyed, you make short-term choices. You cut corners. You snap at people. You quit things early. But if you walk in with clarity and a calm, focused presence, you think long-term. You lead instead of complain. You notice what matters. You build momentum instead of wasting it. This habit also helps you show up better for other people, your family, your team, your clients, your friends. They don't need your drama, they need your presence. And you can't be present if your attitude is stuck on everything that's wrong. You can't bring value if your head is still filled with yesterday's emotions. That's why this moment matters. You don't leave your house to spread more stress. You leave your house to live with purpose. But that only happens if you're intentional. Nobody drifts into a great mindset. Nobody stumbles into a powerful attitude. It's built, it's checked, it's chosen. Every single morning, even when life is hard. Especially when life is hard. That's when it matters most. Because anyone can act strong when things are easy, but when you're under pressure, when things don't go your way, when you're behind schedule or under stress, that's when your attitude decides your outcome. If you've built the habit of checking it early, you'll be ready. You won't collapse, you won't overreact, you'll stay centered. This doesn't mean you walk out pretending everything is fine. It means you walk out prepared. Life doesn't reward the fake, it rewards the grounded. And grounded people are people who prepare themselves internally before they interact with the world. You also start to build a deeper respect for yourself, because every time you check your attitude, you're proving to yourself that you're not led by chaos. You're led by intention. You're not controlled by emotion. You're in charge of it. That builds confidence. That builds maturity. That builds real strength. The person you want to become is not created by chance. They're created by habits. And this is one of them. Simple, but powerful. Before you leave, before you speak to anyone, before you deal with the outside world, check in with yourself. Are you bringing tension or calm? Complaints or solutions? Distractions or clarity? You always have a choice, and even on the days when you don't feel like it, do it anyway. That's the difference between professionals and amateurs. Between people who stay stuck and people who grow. The ones who grow do the work, even when it's quiet, even when no one sees it, even when it's small. Because this isn't about performance, it's about ownership. Your attitude is your responsibility, and nobody can adjust it for you. It's your job, every day, every morning, every time you walk out the door. So do it, before the phone rings, before the emails hit, before the world pulls you in 1,000 directions. Take a breath, stand still, look at your energy, and decide, this is how I'm going to carry myself today. Because once you leave, the world will test you. You'll face challenges. You'll deal with people. You'll hit unexpected situations. And how you respond won't be decided in that moment. It'll be decided by the attitude you brought with you. Choose wisely. Check it every morning. That's how strong days begin. That's how strong people are built, one focused step at a time, starting at your own front door. Chapter 10. Do one hard thing before the day controls you. The day has a way of getting ahead of you if you don't act first. From the moment you wake up, the world starts moving. Messages, responsibilities, distractions, tasks, conversations, interruptions. Everything pulls at your attention. And if you don't step in with a decision, the day will decide for you. That's why one of the strongest habits you can build is this. Do one hard thing first. Not later. Not when you feel like it. Not when the timing is perfect. But before the day takes over, before your schedule fills up, before your focus is gone, you do one thing that stretches you, challenges you, and sets the tone for how the rest of the day will go. You don't wait for energy, you create it, and that starts with action. The kind of action that pushes back against comfort, because comfort is everywhere. It's in your phone, it's in your habits, it's in the excuses you've rehearsed so many times that they feel automatic. But doing something hard first thing in the morning interrupts that cycle. It puts you in control. It tells your mind, we're not running from challenge today, we're facing it head on. This doesn't have to be extreme, it has to be intentional. Maybe it's a workout, maybe it's the call you've been avoiding, maybe it's opening your notebook and working on the project you keep pushing to the side. Maybe it's reading for 30 minutes when your mind would rather scroll. Maybe it's sitting in silence when you usually drown out your thoughts. Whatever it is, make sure it's something that demands effort, something you'd normally postpone, something that, when finished, builds pride, not just relief. When you do that first thing, something shifts. You stop reacting and start deciding. You stop dragging your feet and start building momentum. You don't get pulled into everyone else's urgency because you've already handled your own. That's where confidence begins. Not in huge achievements, but in the daily practice of doing what's difficult before the world gets loud. Most people start their day avoiding effort. They hit snooze, they scroll through noise, they wait for motivation. But by the time they finally start doing something meaningful, half the day is already gone. Their energy is scattered, their mindset is off, and their window for deep focus is already closed. You don't want to live that way. You don't want to keep handing your mornings over to hesitation. You want to build a life that runs on purpose, not on distraction. And that starts by doing something hard before the day has a chance to pull you off track. This habit builds discipline faster than any motivational quote or perfect plan. Because discipline doesn't show up when it's convenient. It shows up when you don't feel like it. When the easier option is staring you in the face. And the more you practice doing something hard first, the stronger your follow-through becomes in every area. You train yourself to stop negotiating with your excuses. You teach yourself to start with responsibility instead of waiting for pressure. You also build resilience, because once you face resistance early, you're better prepared for the challenges that come later. You're not thrown off when things go wrong. You're not overwhelmed when something unexpected happens. You already started your day by proving to yourself that you can do hard things. That belief carries through everything else. It gives you emotional control, mental clarity, and physical momentum. There's a reason this habit works so well. It taps into your peak energy. Your mind is clearer in the morning. Your willpower hasn't been drained by the noise of the world. If you use that time for something easy, you waste your best window. But if you use it for something difficult, you multiply your capacity. You anchor your identity to action, and your day follows the tone you've set. Doing one hard thing early also prevents regret, because nothing feels worse than looking back at your day and realizing you avoided everything that mattered. You did the small things, the comfortable things, the reactive things, but not the thing that would have made a difference. When you build this habit, that regret disappears. You may not finish everything, but you started with what counts, and that alone gives you a sense of direction and pride that stays with you all day. This habit also helps you filter what matters. When you wake up and decide what hard thing to tackle first, you start thinking strategically. You stop wasting energy on things that don't move you forward. You become more selective with your time. You start asking, what will actually help me grow today? That question changes how you live. It turns scattered effort into focused action. It also builds self-trust, because every time you follow through, even when it's uncomfortable, you prove to yourself that your word matters. You prove that your goals are not just talk, that your mindset isn't just a concept, that your life is actually being shaped by what you do when no one's watching. That's where confidence is built, not in public, in private, not in front of others, but in those quiet moments when you choose growth over comfort. And the best part is, this habit compounds. The more you do it, the easier it becomes to handle pressure, to stay on track, to move with purpose. You stop being controlled by feelings and start being guided by values. You stop hoping for easier days and start becoming a stronger person. That's how real transformation works, not in dramatic moments, but in small daily choices that push you to be better. Don't wait until you feel ready. That's the biggest mistake people make. They wait for the perfect morning, the perfect mood, the perfect plan. But perfection is just another excuse. You don't need a perfect start. You need an honest one. One decision, one action, one difficult thing done with full presence, and the results speak for themselves. You'll notice that your stress levels drop, not because life gets easier, but because you feel stronger. You'll notice that your confidence increases, not because everything is perfect, but because you're proud of how you're showing up. You'll notice that people respond to you differently, not because you say the right things, but because your energy is more grounded, more focused, more intentional. Doing one hard thing early puts you in control of your momentum. It silences hesitation. It makes you sharp. It builds the mindset that says, I don't wait for the day to control me. I take the lead. That's the mindset that builds a better life. That's the mindset that keeps you focused when others get distracted. That's the mindset that turns ordinary days into productive ones. You won't always feel like it. That's expected. But your feelings are not the driver. Your decision is the people who rise are not the ones who feel motivated every morning. They're the ones who made the